Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to the One in a Million channel. My name is Eunice Chan, and I am so happy to have you guys in this discussion today. Um, I was just coming out of a lesson. I was actually like just helping a kid with his English. And I was coming out of this lesson, and then I had this just really profound realization because this kid was like so nervous to speak English in front of people. So I'm in Mexico, so I'm helping this kid with English because his mother tongue is Spanish. And I was like kind of thinking this to myself, like how is it that people can learn to be so nervous in speaking? And how is it that people can feel so anxious to even just turn on a camera, speaking in front of a camera, speaking in front of other people, or speaking in social situations, or sharing their voice, sharing a story? And I recall, back in the day when I had a lot of social engagements and I had a very active social life, but for some reason, when it came to socializing with people and interacting with people, especially when it comes to groups, I always felt like I had to compete, either compete for the attention or I have to say something really interesting. I have to be really interesting. I have to say everything that I did in order for them to consider me interesting so that they will continue to listen to me, to be with me, to be interested in me, to be my friend, or just want to be around me. So I think that this is such a common issue. Like 9 out of 10 of my clients actually came from the fear of speaking, the fear of being themselves, the fear of sharing their voice, the fear of tapping into a deeper connection with people because they feel like somehow there's just a block. Like as soon as I get onto the stage, as soon as I turn on the camera, as soon as I speak in front of people, as soon as I share my voice, as soon as I go live, as soon as something is going public, there's just that part of me that just gets diminished. And it doesn't really matter, everyone's history is unique, everybody grew up differently. But I have found that the core underlying and same denominator that we all share for people who have grown to be afraid of speaking is the feeling that if I speak, if I share my voice and I say something wrong, it's not safe. Like it's actually not safe. I've either um, been corrected and I felt really bad being corrected. Um, I've either been made to feel really terrible about myself. I've learned to dislike myself when I speak because every single time I speak, it's not an encouraging experience. It actually is quite traumatizing. I've been ridiculed before. People have made fun of me with my accent, with my appearance, with the things that I say. People judge me, or I've heard people judging others. That is also like that invokes that evokes certain very traumatic emotions that we might feel or we might project onto ourselves when we are carrying a speech. And so it's this common feeling of just when I speak, it's not safe. When I share my voice, it's not safe. And so we have learned to just shut off. Like we literally learn to close off like a clam and we stop enjoying the experience of speaking. And so when it comes to the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of fear when speaking in front of people, like a lot of people ask me, like, Eunice, how do I stop thinking about what other people are saying, what other people are thinking of me, and how do I stop obsessing about it? Like, how do I just be able to focus back on myself if I have had such bad experiences? And they may not have to be you know, traumatic experiences where you freaked out and you like ran off stage and people are booing you off the stage. It doesn't have to be like that. Like emotional traumas are, they can be so subtle. It can just be a moment of like I just I just feel afraid. I don't feel safe. I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm just not, I don't belong here anymore. I'm not accepted here anymore. And so it could just be like a feeling. But when that feeling doesn't get processed, we learn to live with it, and then our body stores that emotion. And so when people oftentimes ask me, and when I open up like a client session about moving through their fears of speaking, it's really about how do you find your presence again? How do you shine so much in your presence again? How do you locate that feeling where when you're sharing your presence with people, you can learn to feel safe? You can learn to feel safe within yourself. And so when I'm sharing my presence with you, my presence doesn't have to get diminished. What often happens a lot of times is when I share a space with you, instantly I put you on a pedestal. So you become really important. And the way I've learned that in the past is if I give you all of my attention, I can get away from a bad situation. Like if I get corrected from an adult um, for telling me off about saying something wrong, or just standing there and allowing other people to correct me and fix what I said wrong, I've learned that if I prioritize my attention on them, I can get away with the difficult situation. I can just get away with it. I can apologize, I can stop saying something, I could just repeat after them, I can say sorry, and it's easier for me to get away from it as long as I stop speaking, right? And then what I start to learn over time is that if I prioritize your presence first and I shrink myself, I can get away with it. It's actually safer that way, so that I don't speak as much. In your presence, I try to, control how I speak in a certain way so that I could please other people. And then what happens over time is that I start making the external world so important that when I enter a room with another person, all of a sudden my presence diminishes. And then it's like I am able to inflate the other person because the other person is so important to me. I need to make that other person happy because that's what I've been trained to do. And I shrink myself. So, the work that I do with my clients, a lot of times it's really coming back to how do I stay so grounded in my presence so that when I carry myself into every situation, I can feel so grounded in my presence. I can feel so anchored in who I am. It doesn't matter who comes into the room. It doesn't matter who leaves in the room. It doesn't matter if a big shot comes into the room. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, like he's so important. He's so like all that all of a sudden I feel that I have to shrink. I feel like I'm putting him on a pedestal and I have to step down, or I have to stop talking, or he has authority over everyone and then I have to stop, sharing my voice. And so it's really about learning to feel safe back in your presence, and really, like, guys, the only way to learn that is to spend time cultivating your presence when you are on your own. Because when we keep putting ourselves in front of others, it's really hard. It's actually a really hard thing to do, to remember that you are your own person, to remember that it is safe to take up the presence, to take up space in the room, to take up your share of voice in the room, when you constantly feel like other people are outshining you, when you constantly feel like other people are so much more important or so much bigger than you. And so, what I've come to learn is most of the work that I do for myself when it came to speaking is I have to learn like share my voice within the space that I have. And I learn to cultivate the presence that I can feel within myself. And I learn to appreciate that. That's very subtle. It's like a very subtle feeling within myself. And I learn to appreciate and enjoy that presence that I have with myself, so that when I do step into a room with one other person, with two other people, I don't ever feel like I have to compete. I don't have to like fight to be heard. I don't have to diminish other people. I don't have to lower myself. I don't have to lower my voice. I don't have to excuse myself. I don't have to apologize for speaking up. And I could just share my presence and I could feel really grounded in doing that. So it has nothing to do with speaking techniques. It has nothing to do with your posture. It has nothing to do with that. I mean, of course, like your posture is going to be a part of it, but I truly believe that your posture is an externalization of how you feel about yourself internally, and how you feel about yourself internally is is um, is going to be shown through how you see yourself. It's just a reflection of how you see yourself. So if I continue to believe that if I'm in a room and I'm I'm significantly smaller than everybody else and I'm not allowed to take up space, then that's what I'm going to express. But if I believe that when I walk into a room, I carry the same kind of groundedness that I carry, that I have when I am with myself, that I share with the people that I love, that I get to share with myself, that I experience within myself, even when I'm not with others. And when I'm in a room, I get to share that with others, and other people get to share that with me, so that we are not trying to cancel each other out. We're not trying to compete with each other. There's no need for like fighting for attention, and everyone just gets to multiply on the shared energy together. Then you guys are going to have a great time sharing your voice. um, One of the things that I've really learned, especially when it comes to speaking in front of the camera, is like I like to invite the participation of the people that I'm talking to as much as possible. So, like, if you guys are here, please say hi. And let me know what you guys are thinking about this too, right? Because, like, we're sharing the space, we're sharing this energy together. And it means a lot to me to be able to hear, like, what you guys think, how you guys feel. Um, and this is fun for me. Like I get to multiply on that kind of energy. Um, and I think ultimately this is about knowing that you have ample space to expand. It's not a finite space where I come on and then I have to take over the stage. It's like just me talking and there's no space for you. Like this is an open forum, right? And when you come in and I share my presence with you, it's like, oh my gosh, now it's not just me by myself. Now we are together, and then there is chemistry. There's like something magical happening here. So I find that really fun. And what else did I want to say? I think I think that's it. So anyway, um, that's like the first thing I always address whenever I have clients who feel really nervous about speaking in front of other people or speaking in front of the camera. It's like it's not about anything you have learned about speaking in front of the camera or speaking in front of others. It's not about any of the techniques. It's not a performance. It's not like you having to act confident. It's really just about coming back to the connection within yourself and learning how to find that. Um, because I find that a lot of times we know the importance of presence, and we've been told the importance of presence. Unfortunately, it's it's when we don't know how to experience our presence, oftentimes we just try to learn it on an intellectual level, and we don't know what it feels like to experience that presence with us on the inside. And so you won't be able to find it with other people. You can only find it within yourself. So I would say that's kind of like an investment in yourself. Like invest in that time with yourself to find and experience that internal, beautiful feeling of presence where you feel safe within yourself, where you feel like, oh, I can listen to myself, I can hold myself, I can talk to myself, I can rant to myself, and I hold this space for myself. And then as a result of that, when I share the space with others, we just multiply on each other's like energy and abundance and time, and like all the fun stuff gets to happen. All the chemistry gets to happen like right here, right now, when you're sharing the space together. So I just wanted to address this one important thing because I just find that um, I think like when my clients come to me, it's like they they want to learn something. They want to learn something about speaking, but if you know, like if you have been struggling with speaking in front of the camera or other people, I want you to know this one thing so that you could just know what the problem is. You can identify it, you can locate it, and you can just go straight off to work right away. And if that's something that you want to do, if you want to come into my space, you want to work with me, you want to, have me like kind of like open up your mind and see like what's inside, and help you untangle some of these limiting thoughts that you have within yourself and the way that you see yourself. You want to make some of these energetic shifts, then you're more than welcome to come onto my website and then see what are the coaching package options that are available for you, so we could explore that and expand on that, and work out a way where you get to step into a reality, a place where you could just take up all the presence in the room while being able to hold the presence of others. Now that, guys, is truly, truly powerful and fascinating and a lot of fun. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here to just join me on this conversation. I know this was super impromptu, but um, it seems like these days this tends to be my YouTube appearance recently, and I've been really enjoying this. So let me know if you guys enjoy this kind of interaction. I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye.